Hello friends, welcome again. This is the session 8 in the SQL playlist. In the previous session, we talked about like why distinct and order by do not work together, right? And we understood the internals of it, the flow of execution and things like that. In this session, we will talk about aggregate functions. We'll talk about aggregate functions. As the name suggests, aggregate means clubbing few things and getting the output. Like when we sum few numbers, that's like doing aggregation. Or when we do a average of things, that's doing aggregation. Or when we do a max, like among a group of numbers, it's like again aggregation, like that. That means we talk about group of things and then we get one final output, right? Group of 100 things and finally the answer would be just one, right? So the input can be n number of rows, the output has to be one row. Okay, so let's try to understand this. So for example, let's say, what if I have to count the number of rows in a table? I have a student's table, I want to count the number of rows. Is this an aggregation function or not? Input is all the lines, output is one line or one single thing. So we can say select count star from students. If we do this, it will tell us how many rows are there in this table. Let us see. 8 rows. This table has 8 rows as of now. Okay. Now let me try running something else. What if I want to find that from which all companies or how many companies students are joining in my course? I run a big data course at Trendytech. I want to see that from how many different companies people are joining my course, right? Might be if 10 people are joining from Amazon, I just want to count it as one because it's one unique company. If 5 people are joining from Walmart, again that will be one more count, like that. So how I have to write this? Select count student company from students. What will this give me? This will actually give me count of all the companies, but duplicates will also be there, right? Let me just run this. It says 7. Let me do a select star, not star, select student company to see what all is there. So we can see these are the companies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Null is of course not counted. So totally 7 companies, but some of these are repeating. Like Wipro is repeating 2 times, Walmart is repeating. What if I just want to find the count of unique instances, right? So what I can do is I can say count distinct student company, distinct, and it gives me the answer as 5 because there are 5 unique companies. And let's say I want to show on my website that I have people who join from 5 different companies, and these are those companies, right? On my website, if I want to show. Now you can see the column name is coming like this. You can give a alias. You can say as a number of companies, num companies, any name, whatever you want to give. This is how this will work. Now, what if you want to see that from which all locations or how many different locations people are joining? Then in that case, we can slightly tweak this query only. Instead of company name, we can say location. Select count distinct location from students. That means students are joining from 4 different locations. I hope this is clear. Now, what if I just want to understand that from how many different sources people are joining my course? LinkedIn, YouTube, Quora, many are there, but I want to see that how many different sources of, knowing me are there so that people get to know about me. So, what I have to do is select count distinct source of joining. That means people get to know through five different sources. It can be Quora, YouTube, LinkedIn, Google, and number of things, right? Okay. Now, what if I want to find people or students who have enrolled for Fab batch? There can be two batches running in Fab, right? But I want to see all people who have registered for any of the Fab batch, the batch which is starting in Fab. So let me first see, select batch dates. How are the batch dates organized? Batch date from students, right? So when we see that, okay, almost everyone is from Fab batch. So let's say if there is something 03 also here, can be the case, right? People would have registered for Jan batch, Fab batch, March batch. As of now, data shows only for Fab, but still, let's say assuming that we have lot of data, people would have registered for different batches. What if we want to find only people who have registered for Fab batch? We can use a pattern here. What we can do is we can use this regular expression kind of thing like percentage, the wildcard character, I would say, right? Percentage and underscore we have seen earlier, right? So let's see how to do that. We can do select count star. That means I want to know total count of people from students where batch date like, because it's not exact match, like, and then I can say percentage. That means whatever initially is there, it's fine. After that there is a hyphen, okay, then there is a 02, then there is a hyphen, and then again anything can be there. That means the actual date can be anything, the year can be anything, but the month should be 02. I hope this is clear. In our case, since everything is for 02, it will give you the answer. How many people have registered for batch starting on 19th, let's say, if we have to do that? How many people have registered for the batch starting on 19th? I can say 19 and then hyphen and percentage. Anything can be there, does not matter. Only 4 people have registered for batch starting on 19th. So count is an aggregate function because it's giving you an aggregated answer that how many records are there, how many, right? Okay, so with this we have understood count. Now let us understand group by. Very, very important, super important. Group by. So basically, group by says that we want to group this data based on some logic. For example, I might say that I want to group the data based on companies in which students work. That means all the people in Walmart will be grouped together, all the people in Flipkart will be grouped together, all the people work in TCS will be grouped together. This is one way of grouping. Another way of grouping can be that, okay, lead source or the source through which they have joined. All the people who have joined through LinkedIn can be grouped together. All the people who have joined through Google can be grouped together and things like that. Another group can be based on location, that all the people who have joined from Hyderabad can be grouped together. All the people who have joined from Bangalore can be grouped together like that. And then once we do this grouping, why do we do this grouping? To do some operations later. Like, for example, let me show you that. Let's not jump into that right now. Let me show you through a demonstration only. So, what if I want to find that through each or source of joining, that means how many people have joined through LinkedIn, how many people have joined through Google, how many people have joined through Quora, like that. I want to see that way. What should be my query? That means I want to group based on source of joining and then do a count. So what I want is to know that how many people have joined my course, are or got to know about me through LinkedIn, right? I won't answer something like LinkedIn 5 candidates and Google 2 candidates get to know about me through Google. Quora, 1 candidate got to know about me through Quora. Things like that. I want this kind of answer. That means on which column I have to do a group by. I have to do group by on source of joining. Source of joining. Let me show you what is the source of joining here. Select source of joining from students. These are the source of joining. We want to group all the data from LinkedIn together, all the data from Google together, and things like that. Okay, so let's write a query. Select, okay, now I will say dash dash right now, from students, because I will be filling in these details later. Select something from students, okay, from students, group by source of joining. Okay. Now what I want as answer is LinkedIn, comma 5. So that means source of joining should come here. Source of joining should be a projection column, comma. What do I want? A count. I can say count star. This will count only for individual groups. It's earlier what we saw is complete count, right? Total. Earlier the table itself was one group, one big group. But now we have multiple groups, one group for LinkedIn, Google, Quora, and like that. If I run this, let's see. It says, okay, one friend or one person who has joined me got to know about me through his friend. 2 people who have joined my course got to know about me through Google, and things like that. I hope this is clear. So, one important thing that if you are having something as part of your grouping column, right? If you're grouping on something, that should always be there in your select, because otherwise it does not make sense. It's logically incorrect, and even system won't accept. So, if source of joining is here, it should be here also in select. If you do not do that, then system will give an error. Okay. Now let me have another scenario. What if I want to know how many people have joined from Hyderabad, how many people have joined from Bangalore? Like that, location wise, I want to know from each location how many students have joined. Then I can say select location, comma count star from students, group by location. Very simple. 2 people have joined me from Bangalore, 2 from Chennai, 1 from Hyderabad, 3 from Pune. Okay. Now, what if, let's say, I slightly tweak this query to something like, uh, let's say, select location, count star from students, group by source of joining. What if I run this? Just think of it. What if I run this? As expected, it will give you an error. Select list is not in group by clause and contains non-aggregated column. So this does not work. If you are having something here, it should be a part of your select column also. Just make a note of this. Because logically, it does not make sense to run such queries. So I will say this do not work or this will not work. Okay. Now, what if I want to find that, okay, from Bangalore, people who got to know me from LinkedIn, Bangalore, LinkedIn, these many people have joined, right? Let's say four people who have joined my course from Bangalore got to know about me through LinkedIn. Three people who have joined from Bangalore got to know about me through Google. That means I want to do a grouping based on two columns: location and source of joining. Location and source of joining. First, I do a select star on these two. Select location, comma, source of joining from students. Just to show you what data we have, like this. Now, what I want to say that, okay, from Bangalore location and people who got to know about me through LinkedIn, these many candidates. From Bangalore location, people who got to know about me through Google, these many candidates, like that. So it's a grouping on combination of location and source of joining. Okay. So how to run this? Write this query. Select location, comma, source of joining, and same thing would be in group by from. I will have to fill something here, the aggregate one, because grouping alone does not make sense. This is a grouping column, but after that we have to give some aggregate, that on what basis, what we have to find, count, sum, max, like that. From students, group by this. And what we have to do, we have to find a count star. Count star. Let's see. Okay, people from Bangalore who got to know through about me through Google, one candidate. All is one. Apart from that, Pune. There are two candidates from Pune who got to know about me through YouTube. Okay, that's interesting. Fine. Now, what if I want to, let's say, find for each course how many people are enrolled? How many people are enrolled for each course? It's very easy. Select course or selected course from students. Let's see the data first. Selected course. Okay. We have course ID 1, 2, and 3, like that. So we have to do a group by on selected course. How to do? Select selected course, comma, what aggregate function, count star, from students, group by selected course. That means for course ID 1, 6 people have enrolled. For course ID 2, 1 person has enrolled. For course ID 3, 1 person has enrolled. The course ID 1 is for big data and 6 people have enrolled for that. Fine. Now let's think of another use case, something like what if I want to see that for each batch, multiple batches start. Some batch starts on 5th Feb, some batch starts on 19th Feb, like that. For each batch, like how many courses are sold for each category? Something like, let me just show. Batch date. So what I want to know is, as of now, the data that we see on screen is 5th Feb batch, someone enrolled for course ID 2. 5th Feb batch, someone enrolled for course ID 1. All what I want to find is that for 5th Feb batch, how many course ID 1s are sold? That means big data courses are sold. How many DevOps courses are sold? Like that. Then that means we have to again do aggregation on two columns, batch date and selected course. And then third column would be the aggregate function, that is count star, from students, group by, pretty straightforward, group by batch date comma selected course. So we can see this, that okay, batch date this one and course big data, total 3 copies are sold. That means 3 people have enrolled. Batch date 19th Feb, and this is, let's say, a DevOps course, 1 copy is sold, like that. So with this, probably you understood how group by works. Basically, it's creating a group, and what's the whole intention to create this group? To do a aggregation function, like sum, count, max, min, things like that. Max, min, we will be seeing now. So we have understood count star. Now we have to talk about min and max. Okay. Now, what if I want to find someone with minimum experience? That means I want to know what is the minimum experience among my students who have joined. What I can do is select min years of experience, because that's the column name, years of experience from students. This will, like, if we are not doing a group by, that means the entire thing is one big group, single group, right? And among that we want to find the minimum experience. It will also give us one row. The minimum experience among the candidates is 3. What if I have to find the max experience? I can say max. Maximum is 20. Quite huge, right? Okay. Now, what if I want to get someone, or let's say if I say min years of experience, comma student name, what will happen? You might think, okay, this will give us first of all 3 and the student who has minimum experience, the name of that. No, it is not the way it works. Let me show you, right? Why you are getting error? Because this query is not correct. Why? Because you can see that this is independent, min years of experience 3 years. How do we know that we are asking for that person? Both the things are unrelated. System does not know that, and if system gives some name, it won't be logically correct. So system does not know that we are asking for the name where we are looking for minimum experience of that person. If rather you have to do this, that you want to get the name of the person with minimum experience, what you can do is select, sorry, his name is not there, F name is there, right? You can see this. So it's giving error. Now, if you actually have to do this, so this won't work, I'm saying. This won't work. If you have to achieve the same result, get the person with minimum experience, you say select student F name from students, order by years of experience, and then when you do order by, everything will be sorted based on years of experience. You get only the first row, so you can say limit 1. So this will give you the result that you were looking at earlier. Virat. So Virat is the one who is having 3 years of experience. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now, let's say I want to know that, okay, if people are joining through LinkedIn, what's the maximum experience among that? If people are joining through Google, what's the maximum experience of those candidates? So I want to group by based on source of joining, and then I want to get the max experience. So how I have to write the query? So I'm saying for each source of joining, I want to get maximum experience. Okay, so how I have to run this? Select. So let me first show you these columns. Select uh, source of joining, comma, years of experience from students. You can see that from LinkedIn, someone joined with 6 years of experience. From LinkedIn, someone joined with 3 years of experience. So I want LinkedIn 6. That means from LinkedIn, the maximum experience was 6 years. From Google, someone joined with 12 years. From Google, someone joined with 14. I want Google 14, like that. So I want to group by based on source of joining, and then I want to get a max of years of experience. So let's see. Select source of joining. Okay, and then I will just say dash. I will be filling it from students, group by source of joining. Now what I have to fill here? Do I have to fill count star, max, min, sum? What I have to fill? I have to say max, because that's the aggregate function we want to use, max. And what column? On which column we want to do this max? Years of experience. Now let me try running this. Okay, the persons who joined, or the candidates who have joined my course through their friends, among them the highest experience is 15 years. Through LinkedIn, if someone has joined, the maximum experience is 6 years, and so on. With YouTube, someone joined with maximum experience of 20 years even. So I think these are good insights. So I hope this is clear. So this is how max and min works. Quite easy. I mean, we do not have to really worry about. Now, similarly, another aggregate function. So we have seen count, we have seen min, we have seen max. Now let's see sum. Sum is also very, very similar. In our case, I don't think we have any requirement of doing the sum based on the data set that we have actually, right? But what if I want to, it does not make logical sense. But what if I want to find the sum of total experience of candidates who joined me through LinkedIn, of candidates who joined me through Google, and so on? That means I want to group by source of joining and do a sum. Logically, it's not making sense, but to demonstrate, I can show you. Select source of joining, comma, some years of experience from students, group by source of joining. Okay. All the people who have joined me through YouTube, their combined experience is 38 years, right? All the people who have joined me through Google, their combined experience is 26 years, like that. So, fine, you can have a better use case for this, but with the data that we have in hand, we do not have any use case. So, that's fine for now, but you understood. Now, let's talk about average. Now, in the use case that we have seen earlier, this average will make total sense. Average is like, okay, from LinkedIn, people, lot of people do join my training, but what's the average experience from that? Let's say someone has 5 years and another person has 10 years, total 15. That means when you divide 15 by 2, it will be 7.5 experience, right? Like that. So, how to do same thing? Instead of sum, you say average. AVG, average. And this will be making much more sense. That means if people are joining my course through various places, I will get to know from which place I am getting the highest experience, like that. Okay. From LinkedIn, people who are joining roughly on an average has 4.5 years of experience. Same thing I can do for locations also. Like from Bangalore, whoever enrolled for my course on an average has this much experience, like that. So instead of source of joining, just a second. Instead of source of joining, I would say location, and then this also will become location. Okay. The people who join from Bangalore have, on an average, 9 years of experience, industry experience. People who join from Pune have a lot of experience, like 17.6, quite huge, like that. So this is how this average works. Now, same thing we can even do for company. That means people to join me from Amazon, Walmart, TCS, Wipro. I want to see that, okay, if someone is joining me from Amazon, on an average, how much experience they have. Then I can just change it with company here, or student company. Yeah, student company. And same thing I can put here, student company. So this is what the results are. So from TCS, people have 18 years of experience almost on an average who are joining my course. Okay, so with this, we have talked about quite a lot of things. We talked about group by. Group by is like grouping things together as per a logic, right? Based on a category. Why we are grouping it? To do something later. What is that something? That is doing aggregate functions or applying aggregate functions like count, average, sum, min, max, and all. Because if we do not do group by, it acts that the table is one big group and on that it happens. So quite easy. It's not, I mean, that difficult. Some people might feel, oh, group by is very difficult. No, nothing like that. Right? If you understand it neatly, if you practice it, I don't think it's hard. But it is very, very important. So with this, let's wind up the session. And I hope you liked it. Thanks a lot.